My name is Nick Pasculi. I am the County Communications Director and Chief Public Information Officer for the County of Monterey. I want to thank you all for, first of all, your help in us to get our messaging out to the community. It is so important that we get timely, accurate, and transparent information out to our community, our residents, and all our stakeholders. The County of Monterey cares deeply about the health and safety of every resident of this county, and we stand here united in that effort. I also want to thank especially the residents of the affected areas. They helped us so much in making an orderly evacuation of the affected area, some 1,200 to 1,500 individuals. The area accounted for about 7,600 acres of land where the evacuations took place, and the evacuation was orderly and safe. I also want to be thankful and grateful for the fact that there have been no injuries or deaths as a result of this incident, and that is something truly to be grateful for. And we can certainly thank our first responders and all those people in our Emergency Operations Center for ensuring the safety of this entire community. Everyone from law enforcement to fire to public works to our IT department to every department within the county, social services, the health department has been working tirelessly since late yesterday afternoon when we were first notified about this incident. We sprung into action immediately following the notification from North County Fire, which Chief Mendoza will go into more detail later. Our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, was activated to a level 2, which is the second highest level in our emergency operations system, fully staffed with county staff and partner agencies from around the county. I also want to thank all our partners throughout the County of Monterey with mutual aid that came to our assistance, including fire and law enforcement, state and federal agencies. We have compiled a tremendous team to address this very serious and important issue. This morning you're going to hear from a number of speakers who will talk about specific areas of their expertise with regard to this incident. But our first speaker today is going to be Supervisor Glenn Church, who is the supervisor of this district, of District 2, and for the County of Monterey and North Monterey County. Supervisor Church.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I think this is best be described as a worst-case scenario of a disaster that's happened here. Nobody predicted anything on this line, and this is really a lot more than just a fire. It's really a wake-up call for this industry, and if we're going to be moving ahead with sustainable energy, we need to have a safe battery systems in place. There are a lot of questions from the residents in my district and the communities surrounding here, and they want to know why this happened. They want to know how it happened and what can be done to prevent it from the future. And while our immediate concern is really safety right now, and the other speakers will be addressing that, it's not really too soon to look ahead. You know, there must be accountability for this, and there will be accountability. We need to get the information out, and it needs to be transparent, and it needs to be clear. Now, I understand, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, the need for these batteries and to creating a sustainable, climate-friendly energy source. And I've had a lot of people in my community over the years ask, why do we have batteries over here in Moss Landing next to an environmentally sensitive area of the Elkhorn Slough? We have the Monterey Bay, of course. That is because the infrastructure is there. And I think the people in the community need to know why this is something that was set up and formed here. And it's because the infrastructure is there because the 1960s and 1970s, when Pacific Gas and Electric was running this facility, this was actually the major producer of electricity on the West Coast. It produced more electricity than all the power plants in LA. And so the infrastructure was there to bring this in, and that's why it is there. But it needs to be safe. As we move forward to a more sustainable energy source and this transition that's going forth, This transition cannot and will not come before the safety of our families and our environment. And that really has to take the priority at this point, more than anything else. This is the 4th fire at that site since 2019. There are 2 battery operations going on there, and both of them have had fires, and this has got to be the last one. I myself was personally assured, and I know with other county officials too, that this was not going to happen. But there were safety protocols in place. Well, obviously that failed. And I think that just shows the nature that nobody knows really what we're dealing with here in this technology. And as the importance of it is, we got to learn it a lot more about it. We got to go through and set up safety protocols that are more effective at the local level, at the state level, the federal level, at the private level. This never should have happened. And so there is obviously some gaps going on here of information. There's some gaps going forth here on safety. There's gaps going here that are going to take some time to understand, but there's got to be lessons that are being learned from this. You know, and there really needs to be a full independent investigation at all levels on exactly what's happened here, because this is the largest fire of this type that there's ever been, and this is a growing technology, a growing industry. And as I stated, you know, about the importance of accountability, that really just isn't enough. You know, there needs to be an open conversation. We need to listen to people, their concerns, and this needs to be transparent and out to everybody. This is really a 3-mile island event for this industry. If renewable energy is going to be a future, it really needs to rest on safe energy. And I'm not going to rest and leave this until I know that we have a safe environment, a safe operation over in the Moss Landing area. Thank you. Turn it back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Supervisor Church. I failed to mention we will allow for questions at the end of the speakers. Now I'd like to introduce to you Chief Joel Mendoza of the North Monterey County Fire Protection District. Chief Mendoza.
Thank you, Nick. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the County of Monterey and our mutual partners that have assisted this small fire department with this very large event, as you've heard. We're a small fire department with 3 fire stations and 34 firefighters, and an event of this magnitude has stretched us thin, and I'd like to make that clear. I'd like to start off with a brief synopsis of what occurred yesterday and today, and then I'll give an update on how we're looking this morning. So yesterday at approximately 3 o'clock, the fire department got a call for a structure fire response at 7301 Highway 1, which happens to be the Vistra power plant. We had a typical response for a structure fire. Our first unit on scene arrived and found that there was smoke out of the building, and we did find at least 1 battery on fire. That triggered a whole bunch of notifications and my response as well. I arrived on scene, assumed command, and met with the Vistra staff, the plant managers, to try and assess the situation. After confirming that there were batteries on fire, we then began our summons for additional help from the county resources. So we summoned for district coverage from our mutual aid partners, and we summoned for help at the actual incident from Department of Emergency Management. The Sheriff's Office was originally dispatched, and environmental health, excuse me. I can tell you that we worked very well together. We've done this before. Every one of these departments performed as they should. We did a lot of work. There was a lot of guessing work that had to be done. There is cameras in the facility, but some of them were not working. due to the intensity of fire and smoke and superheated gases. Roughly about an hour and a half into the incident, conditions changed drastically. I can tell you that there is, in this particular facility, a fire suppression system that is part of every one of those battery racks, and it is fed by an on-site system. In other incidents that we've had, like was mentioned earlier, that system has worked perfectly. In this particular case, that system was not sufficient. It was overridden, and that led to fire overtaking the system and eventually overtaking the entire building. We made the decision very early on to notify the public of the event, and shortly after we closed highways, roadways, and asked that Department of Emergency Management, along with the Sheriff's Office, put out a request for mandatory evacuations. So we manned this particular fire all night long. We saw this fire grow to an intensity, and I am happy to announce that at this point, most of that fire has gone out. If I could look at a schedule from 0 to 100, 100 being the most active flame that we saw, and particulates of combustion that were being released into the atmosphere. That occurred last night, roughly 8, 9, 10 o'clock. This morning, I can tell you that we're probably in the vicinity of 1 to 5%. We have very little active flame. We have very little products of combustion being put out into the atmosphere. There's a lot of questions regarding monitoring. We put in a request for a hazardous materials team immediately when we got on scene. We also put in a request to the Department of Emergency Management for monitoring from the US EPA. All of those take a while for us to get those resources to the scene. However, overnight we did get the EPA, and in addition, Vistra had monitoring equipment on site that was able to monitor. I can happily report that the information that was given to me, which is preliminary at this point, but out of that information that was given to me, there was no hazardous, there's an HF gas, hydrogen fluoride gas, that is emitted from these batteries that is a dangerous gas. At no point did I get a report back that there was any of that being picked up by any of the monitors. Again, this is preliminary. We'll have reports that the EPA will give us, and which I believe should be made available at some point. At this point, this is preliminary, and we don't have those. Again, the fire, when I left it this morning at right around 8:30, was doing best case scenario. We burned hot for a long time, and at this point it was smoldering, and like I said, I would say between 1 and 5% if we were to look at the large scale event. Thank you, and I can answer questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Mendoza. Appreciate your comments today. Now I'd like to introduce to you Monterey County Sheriff Tina Nieto. Sheriff Nieto.
And I'll be joined by Captain King from the CHP to talk about road closures. So, as Chief Mendoza said, I want to thank him and his team, CAL FIRE. They did a wonderful job. The Sheriff's Office was dispatched when the initial call went out. We had personnel there from the beginning. As this event started to grow, I was notified, my executive team responded. We started making notifications throughout the county. I want to thank the Department of Emergency Management. The incident command was originally in Moss Landing. As an incident grows, such as this, then what happens is you go into a unified command, and that brings in all our stakeholders, with fire being the lead in this incident because it's a fire. When we did put out the evacuation warning, I want to thank our state and federal partners, but our local partners. We evacuated, the evacuation area affected about 1,200 residents in the Moss Landing area. We were assisted by the California Highway Patrol, Monterey PD, Pacific Grove PD, Marina PD, and California State Parks. However, all our local law enforcement agencies participated in some point working on this incident. We reached out to Santa Cruz. We reached out to the new sheriff in Santa Cruz, Chris Clark. He reached out to his people, and we brought Santa Cruz into the incident to make some decisions as best as we could, because we knew that last night the wind patterns were pushing the smoke plume up towards the Santa Cruz area. What we can say is that when we did the evacuation order, and we're not going to lift it, it's still in effect, and we would hope that residents would listen to the evacuation order. We have some preliminary numbers, as Chief Mendoza talked about, that the gas was not released, that will be a danger to the public. However, we're waiting for more advanced monitoring systems to arrive before the county's comfortable, and I'm comfortable to lift the evacuation order. I just want to thank the public for listening to the orders. We do that for your safety. We are dealing with a lot of unknown, as Supervisor Church talked about, with these lithium fires. These are new territory that public safety are going into as we move towards clean energy. So we would rather err on the side of caution so that nobody's hurt. And as they reported earlier, we had no injuries last night to public safety or to the public. And hopefully this afternoon we'll be able to lift the evacuation orders again once we get the more advanced monitoring systems out there to give us the A-OK with the medical personnel. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Captain King, who is the commander of this area. Sir?
Hey, Sheriff. Good morning. My name is Captain Nicholas King from the California Highway Patrol Monterey area office. I'm just going to discuss the 3 closures that we had last night. We started off with 6. We were able to reduce it down to minimize the impact on the public. So currently we have closures on the going southbound on State Route 1 at Struve Road, going northbound on State Route 1 on Malera Road, and to the east we have a closure at Dolan Road and Russo. People needing to get around that can use other major routes, such as State Route 129 to the east, State Route 183, and there's other roadways available to you. So we, in keeping with the evacuation order and keeping people out, we are going to turn you away if you don't have business. It's for everybody's health and safety. We're all unified behind that one goal. So people that find other means to get around. There's other resources. If you need medication or what have you, we're not going to be letting you through until it's safe for people to actually be in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you to all our law enforcement partners. I'd like to introduce now Brad Watson from Vistra Energy. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Nicholas. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brad Watson. I'm the Senior Director of Community Affairs at Vistra. Thanks very much for the opportunity to participate in the news conference today. At the outset, and on behalf of Vistra, we would like to say, first of all, that we're very grateful that no one has been hurt. We're also thankful for the first responders, all of them who were involved, Chief Mendoza and his firefighters with whom we have worked with many, many years. Also Sheriff Nieto and her department, Kelsey Scanlon and the emergency management team, and of course Supervisor Glenn Church and his staff. Safety is Vistra's top priority. The priority of safety for our staff, our facilities, and the communities around those facilities, and the environment. Vistra and its predecessor companies have been a long-time good corporate citizen here. We consider this home as well. We belong to this community, and we are involved in this community as well. Our company takes very seriously what happened last night, and we are hurting today because we know primarily it's impacted and disrupted the people who live around our site, our neighbors, our friends, and businesses. And for that, we are sincerely sorry. We want to now listen to residents, Supervisor Church and his staff, other local officials, on how people have been impacted by this event and consider ways to provide assistance to them. Vistra does business the right way, and we will stand by that. As I said, safety is our top priority, and we've heard the comments last night and this morning of residents and officials about the concern about air quality from what happened at our facility. In addition to what the EPA is doing, Vistra has arranged for an outside consultant named CTEH. They're experts in air quality monitoring, especially every day related to events like this. I'd like to bring up here now Pete Ziegler. Pete is our Regional Vice President at Vistra, who oversees the entire Moss Landing Power Plant and Energy Storage Facility site, to go a little bit into what CTEH will be doing as an outside consultant to do this air monitoring and the collaborative effort we look forward to ahead. Pete?
All right, thank you, Fred. So, yeah, just a couple of things, and Chief Mendoza has already touched on this. Just to take a step back, immediately following the fire that started, we began monitoring with our internal team. Our environmental health and safety team started monitoring constituents immediately. Since that time, we've actually had, in partnership with the North County Hazmat team, and our outside resource, and really to work together. We're actually working, our resources working outside in the community, and the EPA is working actually closer to the site, and we're sharing our findings. We're sharing all of our everything, our readings, to make sure that we have a complete analysis of really just what has occurred since the onset of the event. As Chief Mendoza said, up until this morning's briefing, nothing has been found. It is preliminary, but we will continue to work, collaboratively with all those resources, so that we have a full picture for the community. And as we have done before, we will make those very public. As Brad mentioned, we do business with our communities. We care for our communities, and we believe you deserve all the information that we have. And we will disseminate that as soon as we have all that information to us.